would say the biggest piece of advice is just whatever idea that you have in your head, okay? Whatever business you want to start, just go out there and get it started. Listen, I come from nothing. My name's Ecom Dave, and you're watching Entrepreneur Unleashed.
Welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneur Unleashed. I'm so happy you're here. If you've been following us at all, you know that I honestly believe the best way to shortcut your journey of success is to learn vicariously from others who've already been through it. And today I'm joined by e-commerce Dave. He's going to be sharing his trials and triumphs. You're not going to want to miss it, and I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's jump right into today's episode. Dave, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
The honor's mine. I mean, I've learned a little bit about your story, and we're definitely going to dive a lot into it. But what I'd like you to do is, if in just the next minute to 2 minutes, give me a synopsis of where you are right now in business and where you see yourself going over the course of the next, let's say, year to 2 years.
So right now, I would say I just left the building phase of the business itself. Building the team, that was all done last year. You know, we've 20x the amount of people that I'm employing last year. So it grew like extremely fast. So this year, I'm focusing more on expanding to different marketplaces. I just went to the Spanish market. My next phase is to do the German market now with my Amazon program. So, and just seeing it scale. Last year, my business did a 10x. Ideally, I would love to see that, but you want to be a little. It's 10x would be a lot, so I would say just this
That'd
year.
be wonderful,
yeah,
right?
That would be wonderful.
That'd be a great problem to try to figure out how to deal with
exactly.
it, right?
Yeah, but I would say I'd be happy with just a 2x because obviously as the business grows, you can only x so much.
Scale is logarithmic.
Correct.
So it's much easier to scale pretty high in the
So,
beginning phase.
So right now I'm just on scaling. I think the team is solid, which is I would say one of the hardest thing I've done is put together the right team, the right sales team, the right coaches with the right experience to help those students be successful with Amazon. My particular, obviously, Amazon store has also been scaling as well. So yes, I do practice what I do preach.
So that's one of the things I love about your story is that you're not just a teacher or an educator, you're a practitioner as well. So
Correct.
You're bringing practical knowledge to the table for the students you serve.
Yes.
Now, your story is also interesting because I've done a little bit of internet stalking. I mean, this is our first time meeting in person, but you're from Peru originally,
yes.
and I believe you moved here when you were 11. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So, what was that transition like for you at that age?
Well, you know what? It was amazing. When I was in Peru, I loved the American culture so much that when I moved to Seattle, so I didn't even move to Miami. I moved to Seattle, Washington, which is like
the opposite of Miami.
Exactly. Like really American. I got love like rock music in the beginning. So like Seattle was the city for that.
Definitely the place.
Yeah. So it was a great experience. As far as like having like Latin culture there wasn't that many Latin people, which I was missing that. So that's why I decided to move to Miami at 18 by myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 18 when I came there. I look at an 18-year-old and I'm like, wow. I was a kid, But yeah, the experience of moving to Seattle was great. I learned a lot there. But I came on vacation when I was 17 to Miami, and I moved right back.
As soon as you turned 18.
Yeah, so I saved up like $3,000.
Okay.
And I moved here by myself.
Wow.
I got lucky. I started in hospitality, just working in restaurants and stuff, just because I needed cash. Again, everything was funded by me. Like I just came here. I didn't know help from my parents or nothing like that. I was like, I'm going to Miami, and my mother supported it. And I came here, and then I just started the grind. I went to school here for like a semester for business, but that wasn't really my route. Was in hospitality for a while. I used the money to start a couple of different businesses. I tried doing real estate for a while.
Okay.
That didn't really, I just
real estate sales.
Sales,
like being a realtor?
yeah, being a realtor.
Okay.
Saved up some money. I tried doing a digital marketing agency as well, working with influencers and all that. It was a fun business, but I just didn't see the scalability on it. So what really worked out for me was e-commerce. So I started my Amazon store while I was a bartender here in Miami. And this was in 2017. And started with one product, then two, then three, then four. And then, that first year, the store did about six figures, which is not bad. It was paying for my rent at the time. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I got something. The second year, I 3x the store. And then what really turned things for me was around 2019, I started joining all these Facebook groups for like Amazon sellers. And I started sharing my results there. And it would be like, wow, how are you doing that? Yeah. So it just became super organic. I was like, well, here, I'll help you out. So it was like from one person, 2 people, 3 people. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I can build another business here as well, right? So,
well, let's backtrack for a second because you got started in hospitality, but specifically, were you serving? Were you bartending? Like, what was the
I was like? Well, my very first job, I was a server in Ocean Drive.
Okay. Okay.
This was back in so I moved here in 2008.
Okay.
So I was like 18, just serving, which was, you know what's funny about Miami? At the time, it was like the recession was happening.
Yes.
But in Miami, I was doing pretty good. I was what recession? Because you got so much international money here.
Yeah.
So then I did that. I actually got a job to a luxury car rental business. So I did the whole Miami thing, I was like driving cool cars when I was like 20. I'm like, you're giving, car.
If you want to put me through something like a multi-million-dollar vehicle, I'm happy to drive it. I'm happy to drive it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I went back to hospitality. I started working at the nightclubs here as a bartender then.
Okay.
Yeah, I went from server, and then I had some experience. So I know they were opening the Fountain Blue. I worked at the Fountain Blue.
Okay.
Yeah. I started at this club called Arcadia, then I started working at Live.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, so
you were definitely in the heart of it, right?
Yeah, I was in the heart of it.
Okay.
I was in the heart of it.
Now, how do you think that experience has impacted you? Because I know of a lot of business owners who have gone through that route where they've worked in hospitality, they got a lot of customer service experience in, a lot of dealing with people and human beings.
Yes.
How was that for you?
So working with people, bartending, you do learn a lot about how to engage and read people, right?
Right.
There are people that just spend all their life on a computer and they just don't have the social skills. So that actually translated into just, the marketing side of things for myself. I don't regret anything. I think, working hospitality so long has taught me a lot of things just about life itself and, how to just feel what you would say, I would say just the energy on somebody. Maybe you're getting into business with somebody. I'd be like, I don't know. That guy's definitely sketchy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure in the clubs you could definitely tell who the sketchy people are.
Yeah. No, just reading people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When you look at the transition you made then from the hospitality jobs, the one-off jobs, what gave you the idea to do and get involved with Amazon? Because that's a whole different type of business.
Yeah. So I was working 6 days a week until 6 in the morning. Okay. It was fun in the very beginning when you're in your 20s.
When you're a kid.
Yeah. So around I was 27. I was like, man, I can already not see myself doing this when I'm 30. Like I'm going to kill myself. Like those hours. Money was great for being a bartender. I wasn't doing that bad. And then I was like, well, there's no way I can get another job because I'm already working so much in this one and I can't get another bartender job. I'll kill myself. But I always wanted more. I've always tried different businesses, right?
Okay.
Like I said, I tried being a digital marketing agency. I've always wanted to own my own business.
Right.
So I remember this day clearly. I'm laying in my bed. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Like, I need to start a business now. I researched how to make money online, literally on Google.
Right.
This video from like Gary Vee comes up and he's like, do you know
Gary Vaynerchuk? Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I hope, one day I can show this to him. But I'm like, he goes, okay, you can be right now in your house, buy products from Walmart and resell them on Amazon. He was talking about drop shipping.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, I thought at the time I was
retail arbitrage.
Yeah. At the time, I thought that all the products on Amazon was simply just sold by Amazon. I didn't know that, that third-party sellers was selling it. And then I'm like, hold on. And then I started researching how to sell on Amazon. I came across private label, which is what I did.
Okay.
And yeah, I just went down the YouTube rabbit hole. I spent probably like 5-6 months just obsessing over this business. I listened to every podcast, joined every Facebook group. I practically watched every video on the subject itself, and then I went ahead and launched my first product.
And you were probably a massive success, right? No, right?
No,
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so first product completely failed. Okay,
as most Amazon sellers do, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not unique to you.
Yeah, I was doing this, mostly all by myself. So I was just kind of guessing. The first product didn't do so well.
What was the first product?
It was a diaper caddy.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why it didn't work was, now looking back, I'm like, obviously it didn't work. I was like selling the same thing as somebody else. I was trying to undercut them on price. You don't want to do that.
No.
And I also like went crazy and I bought 1,000 pieces in the very beginning just so I can get them for cheaper. Also something that you don't want to do. You want to test first. So, but I learned, so technically I didn't lose on that. It was an expensive lesson.
Yeah, there's no such thing as failure unless you actually quit.
Yes. Okay. So, but then I got the data from that. I'm like, okay, I understand now why this didn't work.
Okay.
And then I launched the second, and that one did well. And then I'm like, okay, I figured out what data points to look for in a particular product.
Okay.
And then I did a second one, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. And then I'm like, okay, out of every product that I launched, like 80% of them have worked. So I have a formula now.
Okay.
So then, and that formula is what I give out to everybody that joins my program. It's not things that I just saw online and I'm like, oh, I'm going to copy it and make it my own. It's things that I've personally tried over and over and over again and that I know work if you follow. Simple as that, yeah.
And that's one of the things I truly love about what you're doing. Because we all get the opportunity to, especially if you're in Miami, to meet online gurus and business coaches, et cetera. Yeah. And it's amazing that they'll sit back and they'll tell you, oh, do it this way. And then if you ask them, well, is that how you do it? And they're like, well, I really haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you're saying, okay, listen, I've been through it.
Yeah.
I fell on my face a few times.
Yeah.
Broke my nose a couple times falling down. But at the end of the day, I got back up, and this is what helped me get there. And you help your students to literally get there.
Yeah.
And I looked at some of the testimonials you have. I mean, there's a lot of people who truly love you.
Oh, thank you.
Because you changed their lives.
Yeah, thank you.
When you're looking at that life-changing opportunity, so you went from doing, and you're still doing now. I'm not discounting that, but you've now shifted to add in guidance and coaching for others. What made you think about doing that? Like, what drove you to do that? Because not everyone's cut out to be a coach.
Yeah, great question. So when I was back to the Facebook group time, right, I would see people just post like, oh, I'm launching this product and it's not selling. And I'm like, man, if I would have just gave you some advice before you did it, you would have saved so much money. Right. Or I seen people like, I joined this guy's digital course and I lost so much money from it. And then I'm like, if these guys are out here selling their stuff and they've never actually really sold on Amazon, because obviously they wouldn't be really recommending these things if they actually were doing it themselves. So I was like, it's obvious that they're not selling on Amazon right now.
Right.
So what pushed me was I wanted number one, people reached out to me to do it from my personal results. And then I saw a gap because most of the time when I started, it was all digital courses. It was just videos. And I'm like, well, you're not really going to help anybody just by videos. Amazon is something that it's always changing, and it's got so many little things. So Amazon has a lot of terms of service. If you break, they suspend your account.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to start a coaching program, where you are actually meeting with me.
So it's no longer passive; it's an active engagement.
It's an active engagement. You're meeting with the person, and you're like, you have someone like looking over your shoulder. In the beginning, it was like completely me just coaching persons one-on-one. Obviously, as we scale, those people that I started that I helped in the very beginning have actually did really well, and they've actually become my own coaches now, right? They teach my formula. So that's what drew me, was like, I wanted to help people get started in the right way, just because I saw all those bad stories, like, oh, I spent all my life savings on this. And I'm like, I'm trying to sell a neck pillow, for example. I'm like, man, that's like the most competitive product.
Exactly.
And and it's honestly, at the same time, I am an entrepreneur, and it was just an opportunity to have another source of income as well.
Okay.
So like, why not? If I'm going to help people with the knowledge that I have and also create another business, why not do it?
When you got into the advice business.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you say that was an easy transition then for you, or were there also roadblocks there? Like, because you fell on your face with the Amazon store in the very beginning.
Yes.
Was it the same in coaching?
You know what? People always say like I was a natural at teaching. I don't know. Okay. So that one was not that hard for me to. Yes, in the beginning, I had to just structure the program in a way that it was easy for somebody to come in and follow exactly what I did. So like coming up with a curriculum for the program was a bit hard. But again, going back to the time where bartending, I'm good with dealing with people.
Right.
So there you go. I think that helped also with coaching, right? I know how to, hey, so tell me like what's going on. Like I'm here, I'm to answer any questions and all that. And a lot of people that do join the program, they're like, yeah, you're so approachable. And, so maybe that is
the key ingredient is your ability to connect with those that you're serving.
Yeah.
Quite literally, whether it was at a club or now within
technically I am in the service industry still.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Providing a service.
When you look at where you've come, and relatively speaking, a pretty short period of time, what would you say were the major catalysts for you achieving different milestones of success so far? Could you point to like any particular guidance that you received from others, any mentorship?
Yes. Okay. Great question. So when I was first starting this, and you guys actually, I'll give him credit. You guys actually just had him here, Josue.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that actually.
Josue Peña.
Yes, correct. Josue Peña. At the time when I was starting, there was other people that were doing like the Amazon thing, right? I wasn't the only one. And then I was like, man, I just don't know. Like, it's like, there's so many people already doing this. And he gave me this word of advice. He was like, hey man, like, there are so many people in the world, and that people are going to simply join your program just because how you explain it and how they can connect with you, right? So that's one piece of advice. If you're thinking about starting anything, don't focus on all the other people that are doing it. People are going to choose you based on you.
I agree with that whole
Yeah.
When I sit down and I talk with business owners who are always, they're concerned about competition.
Yeah.
I say, have you ever been to a grocery store? Have you ever been to the bread aisle? You see all the different types of bread there.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because some people are going to like this brand versus that brand.
Yes.
And it's all bread.
It's all
at
bread.
At the end of the day,
Correct.
the packaging may be a little bit different. Maybe there's a little bit different flavoring to the bread.
Yes.
But having variety doesn't mean that it's competition. It just means it's variety.
Yes.
There are a variety of other coaches out there that teach people how to do things on Amazon. You have your own flavor, your own packaging to it. And people are going to resonate when you're authentic. And no matter what business you're in, if you come to it from that perspective, there is no competition.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that was, I would say, the best piece of advice I got. So then I stopped focusing and I just did my thing. And, it's true. People were like reaching out. And when I started onboarding people myself, I would ask them like, hey, so like obviously there's other programs, like why did you choose me? They're like, yeah, man, you just seem like an approachable person, and like you know, I love the way how you explain things, you know, on my training video on like how I explain my own personal process, my blueprint, and they just connect with that, and that's, you know, what's really worked.
When you look at that journey then, like what were the milestones that you were shooting for? Did you know them ahead of time? Did you put goals and objectives in place? Like what did that look like?
With would you say with my Amazon business or with coaching side? Okay, so with my Amazon business, I told myself, okay, you're gonna launch. In the beginning, obviously, I was limited on capital, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna launch one product every month, no matter what I do.
Okay,
so one product every month. As you scale and you start bringing money in from your business, I didn't touch that money. That's why I kept my. If you're gonna start Amazon, and if you're using it to replace your income, don't leave your 9 to 5 and then start keep your 9 to 5, because that money that comes in from your Amazon business, I always recommend to reinvest it, right? So, I went from one product a month to then 2 a month, then 3, and now, you know, now my goal is, okay, I want to launch 5 a month, and that's you build that snowball effect, right?
And you're launching it under private label.
Private label, correct. So, a little explain on what private label is you're finding a niche on Amazon with tools that show you how much money that niche is making. And all you're doing is you're going to a supplier either in China or India, communicating with them, and you're manufacturing your own brand of that particular niche that you found on Amazon.
Okay. Could you give me an example?
Yeah. So, for example, I would say, like a neck pillow, right?
Neck pillow,
you find a niche on neck pillow. Don't launch neck pillows. They're competitive. But again, there's a tool that tells you, okay, the average seller on Amazon selling neck pillows, let's say, is doing $100,000 a month.
Okay,
so it's pretty popular product.
That's revenue. That's gross revenue.
Yeah, gross revenue. Average profit margin on a private label product is about 30%. Okay. So. That average seller on page 1 is doing that. So the key here is you want to see what's selling on that, and then find a way to add value. Like you said, there's a bunch of different breads, right? But you don't want to sell the exact same bread that someone's selling, because then you're not really giving them a reason. They probably already have more history with the customer. So, for example, with your neck pillow, you can add, I don't know, a bundle. You sell it with an eye mask or earplugs. That way you're adding value. So when people see your listing on Amazon, they're purchasing from you instead of the competition.
Well, that makes it an offer.
That makes it an offer.
You're changing it from being a product to becoming an offer.
Correct. You're adding more value than what's already on Amazon. So then you're coming up with that, and then you're just going to a supplier. You're buying directly from the factory in China, so you're getting it for a super fraction of the cost.
Okay.
And then you're slapping your own brand on it with, say, yours comes with the eye cover and earplugs, and then you're putting those on Amazon. And then Amazon is handling all of the fulfillment for you as well. They're, they're storing your products at their warehouse, shipping them to the customer, and they're handling all the returns. So again, super passive.
And that's referred to as FBA.
FBA, fulfilled by Amazon.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
And when you're looking at that from a again, you are the one who's doing it. You're learning from all these other resources. Now you've gathered that knowledge, and you're transitioning it into teaching others. So what were the things, goals, and objectives you had as a coach?
As a coach. All right, perfect. In the very beginning, the first year, which was during COVID, right? I started in 2019. COVID is where really things blew up.
Okay.
So again, it was kind of the perfect timing.
Well, everyone was at home at that point.
Exactly.
So they had nothing else to do but become an FBA seller.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it started off like, okay, I'm just going to do maybe, 4 new students a month, right? Because I wasn't doing that much marketing in the beginning. I was just doing Facebook groups, kind of like word of mouth Facebook groups, just posting my results. People would reach out. So I started with 1 person, then 2 people, and then 3. And then the goal was, okay, last month I did 4, right? This month I'm gonna spend a little more on marketing. I started doing Facebook ads and stuff.
Okay.
And then seeing an ROI on that, and then I'm okay. So this month I'm gonna do 10 and all that. But again, slowly. I never went really too crazy in the beginning because I wanted to not just sell a program. People just sell it. I wanted to see results. I wanted to see people succeed first. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna scale too much until I have a lot of testimonials. And my formula is 100% proven, right? If people come in, they're seeing success. So I went from 10, and then now that I had built a team also, because it does require a lot of help, a lot of one-on-one help.
Well, when you transition from being a solopreneur to becoming an actual business owner, having more hands and feet in the mix helps. Yes. Because I talk typically about 4 aspects of leverage. The first aspect is labor. So when you're a lot of individuals start off in that employee realm, and then they transition to becoming that solopreneur, the small business owner who's really just themselves. In reality, you end up just owning a job, not really a business.
Yes, correct.
But to make that transition, typically you're engaging at least one of the 4 aspects of leverage. Leveraging labor, which is other people's hands and feet.
Yes.
Leveraging code, which would be technology, and employing that to scale yourself. Leveraging capital, or other people's money. And then ultimately leveraging audience. So you made the transition then from being that solopreneur who was just doing pretty much wearing every hat.
Every hat.
To then saying, okay, I need humans to help me.
Yeah.
So you added to your team. How did that go? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah. So like you said, I was doing everything in the very beginning. I was doing the marketing, I was doing the sales, I was doing the coaching, and coming up with the program myself. The first thing I outsourced was the coaching side.
Okay.
Then came sales. I started, having a sales team. As more calls would come in, I only have so many hours during the day. That's it. Then that's the next thing I outsourced was. So first came, the people that were training.
Okay. How did you make that decision though? Because I know that a lot of business owners are trying to figure that out. Like, where do they outsource first to? Whether it's outsource or insource, but to others or to other things like technology. Like, how did you make the decision that it was going to be the coaching first before sales?
It came organically.
Okay.
So obviously, as you're growing, I think it just makes sense for you to spend most of, or outsource the last thing is the stuff that actually makes the money, which is the sales, right? And the marketing. The coaching, I was very confident on the people that I was giving because they went through my program. They were selling themselves. So I'm like, okay. Obviously, in the beginning, I was watching over their over their shoulder the whole time.
Well,
I'm
it's
like,
reputation.
Say this.
It's reputation.
Yeah.
I get it.
So, but obviously, they go through an extensive training, and I test them myself, right, to make sure that they're teaching every class correctly. But once that's done, perfect. Then they're just kind of repeating themselves over and over again. So, so that was the first thing that I kind of stepped away from, and then obviously came to sales. Marketing, I'm still doing myself. All the videos you see myself, but again, I'm not editing them. I have people that do it for me. That was also actually one of the first things I also did outsource, was just the editing side of the videos and stuff. But again, in the beginning, I was doing everything myself, like everything.
Well, now you're essentially your own brand too.
Yes.
Because I know that there's some dichotomy within gurus within the industry with regard to marketing. Some people say you need to focus more on building the business's brand. Some people say no, you need to build the individual brand. Yeah. I actually come down on the I think it's a hybrid. I think you have to build the business brand, but at the same time you have the human brand too.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I did a personal brand, Ecom Dave. My program is called the AMZ Academy, and I have it in Spanish, Academia AMZ. So those are the two business brands, but the main brand that brings in the leads is me.
Right.
So I am the personal brand, especially I think with coaching and learning something new, people do want a personal touch, right? Like, hey, I want to learn from this person, right? And like this company, right? Because then I tell my personal story with my business. And so I think it all depends what business you are running. But I think with Amazon, what has worked has been a personal brand.
Okay. And when you're looking at the coaching, obviously, even though you have other people helping and facilitate the coaching process for you, it's still being marketed under your brand.
Correct. They are teaching my formula. Okay. So it's people that went and did the program in the very beginning, and they're successful with it because they follow my, and again, I test them and all that. So again, everybody that does join does not mean that they don't have access to me. They have complete access.
You're still participating and everything.
1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%.
Because I do see that sometimes too, where the coach will go through this process where they'll build it, then they get all the coaches involved, and then they're really not.
No. I am. I'm still involved with my students. Okay. If they have direct access to ask me any questions. Okay. I don't want to be like, hey, yeah, join Ecom Dave, and then you don't see me at all. No, not at all. No, not at all.
Okay. When you look at the business itself, what would you say has been the most challenging thing you've been through so far?
The most challenging thing would have to be coming up with the team.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, getting the right people in place.
Building the team has to have been the hardest thing I've done because I'm very picky. It's not just about them being able to deliver the information. It's just about also them having a good personality that people like.
Right.
You know, someone that people want to learn from.
Yeah, I agree
people
wholeheartedly
that are
with
not robots. People like, you know, and I have surveys for my students like, hey, what did you think of the people you learn from? And, you know, and so that was probably the hardest part.
I had a conversation with another business owner on this exact same topic,
maybe
like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we're talking about the concept of culture in a business enterprise and how do you make sure that you don't corrupt the culture with a wrong hire.
Yes,
right?
That's
that
so
happens.
True. Yeah, it's actually, it happened to me. We had, you know, hired someone and they just brought the worst energy and then, you know, just problems inside the company. So it's very true what you said. It's the culture inside and when you bring someone new in, how they're going to behave because you see how everybody behaving. And honestly, the team that I built, I'm so proud of them because not only do they they're great people, kind people, but they take initiative on like making it better. Like they take ownership as well as with the business. Like they own it themselves.
Well, one of the things I'll have to say though, and again, I have not seen your enterprise up close and personal, but for that to happen, you as the business owner have to create the atmosphere for that to happen.
Yes.
So no matter how good the pool of employees are, if the owner doesn't say, hey, listen, my hands are off of this. You own this. Yeah. If you can figure out a better way to do it, I'm behind you 100%.
Correct. Yes. And I do have we have these meetings every week and I tell them, hey, if you guys think of a way that we can make this easier for the student to come in, hey, let me know. I'm not going to shut your idea down because they're more engaged with the students now and they have new ideas every week. You know, like, let's do this. So again, constantly evolving, you know, even with technology, we're integrating now artificial intelligence to help with Amazon. Yeah.
ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that's the talk now. And not only that, you know, I also have a software for Amazon. So they give ideas on what I should add to the software that my students use.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'm very lucky to have the team that I have. You know?
Yeah. Looking at just the things that I see having the most impact on business success, the right team is toward, if not at the top of the list, very close to the top of the list. Because again, your team is what gives you the ability to scale yourself. Because you've started to make that transition already. You're not working as much in the business as you're working on the business. Yeah. And you're engaging more in marketing and getting the name recognition out there.
Yes.
When you look at what's on the horizon for you, like what do you think the next 2 to 3 years is going to be focused on?
So I want to be known as, I would say, owning the biggest e-commerce education company, not only in the US, but worldwide, not just Amazon. I want to start doing Amazon, not just private label, but I do want to integrate also wholesale. Okay. Drop shipping. So if anyone joins my program, they can learn all different business models that you can run on Amazon.
Wonderful.
So just building an e-commerce academy. That's definitely...
that's a lofty goal, though.
Yes,
I mean, that's a pretty big big project to tackle.
Yeah.
But if you have the energy for it, I mean that could lead to major milestones for you. Yeah. Because I think what was I read somewhere recently, I think that the online education environment is $1 trillion business in the making. Yeah. So if you can get involved in teaching people skills that transform lives, you can do amazing things. Yeah. Yeah. When you look at your situation, because I did a little bit of internet stalking. I took a look at some of your, I think it was Instagram, if I remember correctly, that I was on, and you do almost like this Q&A type of environment sometimes.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the Q&As that was asked of you is like structuring the business from like an LLC standpoint, et cetera. And you mentioned, I agree, I'm going to start off by saying I agreed wholeheartedly with what you said. But you started off saying you definitely want to have structure. Can you tell me a little bit more about your perspective on that and how you learned about that?
Okay. So with Amazon, as far as you can start it without having an LLC.
Correct.
You can. You can just create it with your personal information. And if you just want to start getting your feet wet, you can do that. But obviously, it's recommended to actually have an LLC. You can expense things to the business, liability. You are selling products under your own brand, and there is some liability there. If somebody gets hurt, they can only come after what the business owns and not your personal assets. So again, there is that. So I would say if you're looking to start selling on Amazon, you can again create it with your personal information, but look into creating an LLC.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that when you're talking about any business, whether it's an Amazon business or a local cupcake shop, it doesn't matter. There are so many benefits that come with formal structure, and almost an infinite amount of negatives that come without it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it, you're exposing yourself to the entirety of liability.
Yeah.
It also works out, I don't know if you know this or not, but when it comes to businesses, the vast majority of businesses in the United States have no formal structure at all. They're sole proprietorships.
Yeah.
And it may not surprise you, but that's the category of businesses that pay the most taxes.
Yeah.
So, and you know this a little bit about me. I'm always focused on figuring out how business owners can keep more of every single dollar that they're making. Because at the end of the day, I wholeheartedly believe that you as the business owner are the best steward of those dollars. Yeah. You can put them to work the best within your own family, within your own constituents, meaning your employees, your customers, your students. You can put them best to work within your own community and the causes you care about. I don't like the government at all, pretty much. So when you're looking at your financial situation, like what are you doing as a business owner to keep more of every dollar? And once you keep it, what do you do with it?
Okay. Well, yeah, great question. So it's actually funny that you mentioned that. So last year, right, I was on build mode. Hustle, focus on the business, just create revenue. It was really that last year was like a huge milestone for my business. Now, this year, now seeing how much I'm getting taxed for that, because I didn't have time to focus. I don't try to just focus on one thing and that I'm good at. That's bringing money to the business, which was just marketing, sales, all building the team, blah blah blah. Right? I didn't have time to okay, how can I save on taxes? I just didn't.
Right.
Which I'm paying the price for.
Yeah,
it's fine, but it's
expensive tuition.
Exactly. But this year, again, I have some more time now. I am looking into captive insurance. So, and also I'm gonna start now putting an investor hat on, which is something completely different, right? Because in the beginning, you're just hustle, and I'm good at that. Just grind more. But as you put in this investor hat, that's completely different train of thought. It's, you have to learn about a business that you might be new at, that you're going to invest on. So,
Yeah, when you look at the qualities of taxpayers, and this is, so I'll give you a statistic. I don't know if you know this. If you look at the globe, and on average, no matter where you're situated in the world, tax rates, relatively speaking, per type of taxpayer are almost the same. Yeah. So if you're an employee in the United States that's a W-2 worker, on average, you're going to pay somewhere around 40% of your taxes, of your income towards taxes. Yeah. If you are a solopreneur or a small business owner, most people think that the small business owner category pays less, but in reality, on average, they have to actually pay up to 60% in taxes based on the income that they generate. And that's mainly because they have they don't leverage what the tax code says that they can do. And again, this applies regardless of the jurisdiction you're in. There are some jurisdictions with no tax. Those are beautiful places. I was actually just in Dubai over the holidays.
I was there too.
Yeah, but when you look at the transition, if you go from small business owner to actually a real business owner who is taking advantage of structure and leveraging labor and technology, et cetera, you start to see that come down to about 20%. So you're still paying taxes, but it's a huge savings, huge savings. when you get to that point in your life, in your career, that you've actually transitioned to being a true investor, someone who's investing in businesses, investing in real estate, investing in other traditional assets, that environment has the potential of paying 0% in taxes.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
When you look at your transition, you're looking to make that transition to investor. What do you think the next steps are for you to do that?
Yeah, real estate, 100% this year. Looking into, I own 2 properties already here in Miami.
Okay.
But I'm looking into multi homes here.
Multifamily.
Yeah, multifamily.
Okay.
Some triplex investments.
Okay.
And some real estate developments. I have a developer friend who I'm looking into putting some money down for some for some. So mostly real estate.
Excellent.
Yeah, I try not to do too many different things because whenever I invest in something, I don't blindly invest in something. I have to study it, and and so again, I used to have my real estate license, so I have an idea. But again, now that I'm back, it's a completely different market from what I was doing back then. Yeah. I wish I had the money I have now back then. Man, Miami has changed so much.
If only, right?
No, it's always if, but wow, it's
one of the gurus in investments of pretty much of all time is Warren Buffett. And regardless if you love him or hate him, some of the nuggets of wisdom he shares are just truly nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah,
and he talks about the concept if you're going to be an investor, invest in what you know.
Yeah.
Don't try to invest in stuff you don't know. You could potentially do well. Yeah. But that's usually by accident.
On average, you're not. Yeah.
When you look at everything you've been through so far, you've had some struggles. You've definitely had triumphs. What would you say has been the most important lesson you've learned?
Most important lesson I learned from business. To be honest, I mean, not to sound like cliche here, but just when I was starting my Amazon business, not coaching or anything like that, whatever, people were like, oh, you're selling baby products, like you don't have babies, like what are you doing? They were just kind of shutting me down, because I started with that niche. It was just what was profitable for me. And if I would have listened to me, what I'm doing is stupid, like what am I doing? My first product didn't work, of course, or I would have thought about, because at the time they were like, oh, it's too late to get started on Amazon, it's too competitive, and those negative people that you see online,
there's tons of them out
don't
there.
Listen, I would have been like, oh, you're right, my first product failed, I'm not doing it. I probably would still be a bartender.
Oh yeah,
I probably would still be on that same path. So I think the best piece of advice I could give to everyone that's looking starting a business, just go ahead and try it. And if you don't, the thing is, if you doesn't work, you're not really losing. You just got more experience now, right? So go ahead, start your business. I think that's the best thing that I could advise to somebody. Just go ahead and try it.
Wow, I love that. Yeah. One of my good friends, Bart Miller, he has a phrase that and I'm going to butcher it, so I apologize in advance, Bart, but he said something along the lines that winners fail more than losers do.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And that is something that I think a lot of business owners they need to hear more of that. Yeah. Because it is okay to fail.
It is. Yeah.
And the American school system is horrible at teaching this because they say, don't fail.
Yeah,
but in fact, failure is a part of learning.
Yeah.
And when you go through the process, the struggle of, oh my goodness, I'm down to $3,000 in my bank account and my payroll is $10,000. Yeah. Like, how am I going to do it? Yeah. Like those types of struggles that you try to navigate through, it's like sharpening the saw, so to speak, because it's that rough experience that you go through that can make major milestones.
It's 100%. I mean, I'm constantly failing right now, even just scaling the business. I try this marketing, avenue, spend $20,000, $30,000 on that. It doesn't work. Yeah. But I learn from that, right? And you get the data from that. What is it, like 9 out of 10 businesses fail? So you have to just start 10. One of them is going to change your life. Exactly. Right? You're in, what is it? The saying, you're an idiot until you're successful. And then everybody else that was saying like, hey, you're starting a baby, but they're like, wow, I'm so proud of you. How did you do it?
Yeah, you're an overnight success in 20 years in the making, right? One of the things I'd like to do is every time I bring a guest on this show is I like to go through a thought exercise. And if you wouldn't mind, Dave, I'd like to take you on that one.
All right, let's do it.
I want you to imagine for a moment that you have the ability to go back in time to meet a younger version of Dave.
Okay.
And you get to share with him one piece of advice, nugget of wisdom, whatever it is. What I'd like to know is, what version do you go back to? What age were you? What was going on in your life at that moment? Mm-hmm. And what is it that you share?
I would say believe in you and look into online businesses.
And what age? What age would you do that?
Man, oh my God! If I would have known, I mean,
15 when you first started working, right?
Yeah, that would be great. I just didn't know that you could, that you could really, I mean, everyone that's listening to this, not even just Amazon. Like, you can make so much money online from just coming up, whatever you're passionate about, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, when I was a little younger, I mean, there wasn't that much. Internet was still like just like social media. Right. It was just starting, but now you have access to, So I would say my advice is look into online business. I was just mostly focused on like, okay, I'm gonna work for a company and and to scale up the corporate ladder, and you're only limited on that, right? So again, I would say I've always wanted to start my business, but I would say look into online businesses.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. But there's a second portion to this exercise.
Yeah.
I'd like you to imagine now for a moment that a future version of Dave has come back to visit with us in this moment.
Oh, wow.
What does he share with you?
I would say pick the right team, I would guess, maybe. I don't know, right?
Yeah. So talking about figuring out how to put the right people.
Time manage better, yeah. I would say, yeah. That's what I'm working on right now.
Huge
so I'm
nuggets
sure he's
of wisdom,
going to be good at, future Dave's going to be better at time management.
Because you're going to put in the work to make him better,
yes,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I wish he'd tell me, like, okay, give me the tricks on, how to pick, because hiring process is probably also as well. You got to have the right person and the right, because if I want to take this to, a 9-figure company, that's when you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you got to need like a management for each part of the business. And that manager needs to, be really good at also time management themselves and picking a staff, because I can't be doing all that. So
every major up level. So going from 6 figures to 7 figures, 7 figures to 8 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. They all take different skill sets, different mindsets. And when you're trying to figure out the mix, it could involve employees that you don't have now. It could involve employees that you do have now that they need to up-level their own skills. So I think that would be some major advice to get from him.
Please.
So if he's going to tell you that, you got to share it with me as well.
Of course.
One of the things that I want to make sure that we touch on is because the younger version of Dave has gotten a nugget of wisdom from you. The current version of Dave has gotten another nugget of wisdom from you. I don't want the audience to feel left out. So what nugget of wisdom do you want to make sure that we share with the audience before we wrap things up today? Like, what's one thing you can say, listen, if you take nothing else from the time we spent together, take this, and it'll have a difference.
I would say the biggest piece of advice is just whatever idea that you have in your head, whatever business you want to start, just go out there and get it started. Listen, I come from nothing, and people my family is comes from a third world country in Peru. I'm a first generation immigrant to this country. A lot of it did have to do with me seeing. Not that my family would tell me this, but it was there on my shoulders, right? Because I am the only male here in the United States. I have the opportunities. So that being said, that pushed me to start this business and all that, right? So that's where the motivation came from. And honestly, I just didn't care what people thought about me trying to start, because I started a digital marketing agency, I started all these different things. So whatever idea you have in your head, right? And I know if you're listening to anyone listening to this and like you have an idea for a business, just go out there, get your feet dirty, get your hands dirty, and start that business. And whatever you're thinking in your head, like, oh, I'm not gonna start this business because I don't have the right education for it, or I don't have any experience. Just you don't need anybody else gratification to start that business, right? Everything around, I think I'm kind of stealing this from somebody, but everything else that you see around you was created by people with the same brain that you have.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And you don't need like, I'm not going to start this because I just don't have, no one in my family has started that business. I don't have the right connections, blah, 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 blah. Those are just excuses. Just go out there, do it, put yourself out there, and make it happen.
Oh, yeah. Some people refer to it as build the plane on the way down.
Correct. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
So at
that.
the end of the day, just jump.
Just jump
and get it done.
Get it done.
Because at the end of that, if you want to talk about motivation, if you've jumped off the cliff, you're going to be putting that plane together pretty quickly.
Exactly. Yeah.
When we look at everything that you've talked about so far, it's been amazing.
Oh, thank you.
But there's so much more that you could offer and so much more that you can give. So how could the audience, if they wanted to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way for them to get into your ecosystem?
Of course. So if you just want to talk to me, just hit me up on Instagram, ecomdave. If you want to learn about how to sell on Amazon, my personal blueprint on how I find products, source them, rank them, you can just go to ecomdave.com/podcast. I created a website just for this. So everybody that joins through that will actually get a nice discount if they actually join the program.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right. So ecomdave.com/podcast. That's going to take you to a completely free training video explaining the blueprint that I teach all of my students. And again, if you just want to chat, hit me up on Instagram. I'm right there. I talk to everybody. That sends me a DM. Yeah.
I truly appreciate you coming on today and sharing your story. It's been refreshing to get something so authentic, but also so impactful too. So
thank you.
Thank you for sharing your message and your story. And I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Wonderful. Guys, my name is Edward Collins. You've just watched another episode of Entrepreneur Unleashed. I know for a fact that you've loved it. And that means you're going to hit the subscribe button because you want to make sure you're not missing out on content like this. At the very least, you're going to like this episode because that serves you too. It doesn't serve just me. You get to tell the algorithm the type of content you love. So go ahead, let them know so they can show you more information like the information we shared today so that you can change your tomorrow. I wish you well on your journey. My name is Edward Collins. Bye for now. Awesome. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Did you have fun?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, right? Yeah.
A little bit of some hiccups here and there with regard to the little bit of construction noise next door.
That's fine.
But not too bad.
That's all good.